Good evening and welcome to Geisman Gymnasium as we get set for some NAC men's volleyball between the Division Street rivals, your Concordia University Chicago Cougars, and the visiting stars of Dominican University. Peter Borkowski on the call with you, joined by Parker Kelly. Parker, this is shaping up to be a really good one. It's going to be a big test for Coach Greg Manos' first year with the Cougars, taking on a usually dominant Dominican team. We'll get to that in a minute, but let's talk about the Cougars' last game really quick. Parker, you were on the call for that one. It was a Cougar Classic Triangular, and their last game of the day took down the Wabash Little Giants 3-2, and it was a good day on the whole for the Cougars. They escaped 2-0, picking up the win over Roosevelt earlier in the day. This Cougars team is coming into today a lot of momentum.
Yeah, and something that shined really bright in the last tournament was the Cougars played a complete game. And they played well on both sides of the ball, offensive and defensively. And Tyler Hollebeck and Luke Vozinalik, two players that we're going to talk about tonight, had phenomenal performances. Both recorded 20-plus kills in the triangular. And it was a different feel around this Cougars volleyball team than what we've seen in the past. And it was very impressive to watch.
Well, Vozinalik and Hollebeck rank 1 and 2 in the NAC for kills per set and points per set. So, like Parker said, we're going to be saying their name a lot tonight. But Parker, let's talk about Dominican really quick. This is a Dominican team who's usually very dominant. They've won 3 of the past 4 NAC championships, usually ranked top 10, even top 5 in all of NCAA Division III, but this is a little bit of a different team this year. They're currently 2-4. This is their first NAC conference game, but they lost their head coach over the offseason. First-year head coach Will Kraft at the helm now. They also lost 4 all-NAC players from last season. George Coogan, Jack McGuire, Matt Malloy were all first team, and then Trey Cowan was second team. Those 4 are gone. There's a lot of youth on this roster, so while this is a very historically good program, they've only lost 1 set to the Cougars all time, a perfect 6-0 record. It feels like tonight could be a turning of the tide.
Yeah, and you're right. This definitely isn't the same Dominican team that we've seen in past, and it's always hard when you lose your head coach and those 4 all-NAC players that you were talking about. But nonetheless, they're the other Division Street rival, and them and Concordia both have a long-standing tradition of rivalries in other sports, and this will be fun to watch for sure.
Well, Stars taking on the Cougars, Division Street rivalry. You can't get better than this. We're going to send it down to the court now, national anthem and starting lineups. Then me and Parker will be on the call with you for tonight's game. Cougars taking on Dominican. Don't go anywhere on the Cougar Sports Network.
You're doing the flag, right? I don't think so. Am I? Or is that me? No, I don't think we do this. I don't think we showed at all. Not anymore? I don't think so. Show the flag, maybe? What's like that? So I don't think that's good. So I can't see it. Oh, wait, should I put it on the flag so you can switch it? When she goes over.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time we ask everyone to please rise, gentlemen, kindly remove your hats, as we honor America, the men and women of our military and our first responders, with the playing of our national anthem. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Geisman Gymnasium for tonight's Northern Atlantic Collegiate Conference men's volleyball match between these two River Forest rivals, the Stars of Dominican University and the Cougars of Concordia University, Chicago. Let's meet the starting lineups first for our visitors, the Dominican Stars. The libero is freshman number 8, Tyler Verska. Sophomore starter number 3, Owen Morrow. Sophomore outside hitter number 9, Aaron Mars. Junior outside hitter number 10, Tanner Donovan. Senior middle blocker number 14, Jacob Bush. Senior middle blocker number 15, Cal Iwinski. And freshman opposite side hitter number 20, Casey Wright. Assistant coaches are Doug Rochette and Jack Dwyer. And the head coach of the Stars is Will Kraft. And now here are the starters for the Concordia Chicago Cougars. The libero is junior number 1, Blake Rosen. Senior middle blocker number 3, Colby Campbell. Senior outside hitter number 4, Luke Bozella. Junior outside hitter number 7, David Bale. Senior opposite side hitter number 9, Tyler Halibut. Freshman center number 11, Eli Mosher. And freshman middle blocker number 18, Andre Roller.
I'm just staring. I'm looking at the camera.
And the head coach of the Cougars is Greg Mano.
Well, there you have it, your starters for the night. Let's run it back one more time for the folks watching at home. First for the visiting Stars of Dominican, the libero is number 8, Tyler Verska. Then you have number 3, setter Owen Morrow. Number 9, outside hitter, Aaron Mars. Number 10, outside hitter Tanner Daman. Number 14, middle blocker Jacob Bush. Number 15, middle blocker Cal Iwinski. And number 20, opposite side hitter Casey Goss. And now for your Cougars of Concordia University, Chicago, the libero is number 1, Blake Rosen. Then middle blocker number 3, Colby Campbell. Outside hitter number 4, Luke Vozenelik. Number 7, outside hitter David Vales. Number 9, opposite side hitter Tyler Hollebeck. Number 11, the freshman setter Eli Mosher. And rounding out the lineup is number 18, middle blocker Andre Muller. Cougars, they're coached by assistant Peter Dabrowski, and then head coach in his first year at the helm is Greg Manos. Meanwhile, the Stars under assistants Doug Burchett and Jack McGuire. Head coach also in his first season, it's Will Kraft. Stars 6-0 against the Cougars all time. Meanwhile, the Cougars have only won a single set against the Stars in these two shared history. So a lot riding on the line tonight. Greg Manos and his squad versus Will Kraft and his team. So the Cougars will start with the serve. Number 7, David Vales back to do the honors, as we will begin tonight's match in a matter of seconds. The Division Street rivals back at it again for the 7th time in history. The music dies down here in Geisman. Vales gets set and serves. Verska plays it, and the first attack of the game goes out of bounds off the attempt from Tanner Daman. Cougars, they take the 1-0 lead.
And you can tell Daman was fired up on that serve, as it's just a powerful stroke, A little too strong and out of bounds. Nice job for the Cougars getting the first point of the game.
And what you could see during the warm-up, this is a very hard-hitting Dominican squad. As you saw right there, an absolute rocket in the middle of the court from Jacob Bush, senior from Bartlett, Illinois. Bush currently 6th in the conference in blocks per set, a little under 1.
You can really tell just the energy inside at Geisman Gymnasium right now. Both teams are amped up to play.
Serve from Ryan Barnett hits the top of the net, and an attempt from Vozenelik, a little too strong, hits some Dominican fans in the front row. It's going to cause them to move. So you don't want to be on the wrong end of a Vozenelik rocket.
Absolutely, whenever he gets behind it.
Especially an unsuspecting fan. As a good dig there from Barnett, keeps the play alive. Now that attempt, too strong, out of bounds. Domin having a little trouble putting the ball in play. And because of it, we're tied up at 2.
And this is one of the things that both coaches were worried about, that their players would be too amped up, that they started to lose their technique. So far, Bush is not off to a good start with those 2 attack errors.
Christopher Livesay comes in to serve. It's a good one. Dominican has control. Damin, his attempt is bounced right back to Dominican. Now here's an attempt. It's blocked up front. Vozenelik and Colby Campbell. Another attempt blocked again. Luke Vozenelik, Colby Campbell getting the magic done at the net. Looking like a brick wall out there, and that gives the Cougars the lead.
And how good was that Cougars front line on that possession? 3 blocks, and it was just incredible to watch. They did not give up on the possession.
Well, Colby Campbell, maybe the most prolific blocker in school history, as the Cougars earn another point off another errant attempt from Damin. Last season, Colby Campbell set the single-season record for block assist with 58 and total blocks with 63. So that's number 3 in maroon up front.
And Campbell's definitely one of those guys that you want to have on your front line.
And Luke Vozenelik, that ball just floated to him off the dig. He said, take this right back. And the Cougars, they've built themselves a 3-point lead early here in set 1. And Parker, against a team who's as usually dominant as the Stars, a big lead to start things out cannot be understated.
Absolutely, and they lost a lot from last year to this year. And with the way that Concordia has been playing as of recent, they're going to be a tough team to compete against.
Mosher, he's going to set up Vozenelik, a floater. There's Verska. Play still alive. Another floater sent back towards the Cougars. Livesay's there. Vozenelik gets the point. The Cougars firing on all cylinders right now. 6-2 over the Stars. And Livesay back to serve again.
And Peter, I don't know how many times on this broadcast that we have mentioned Luke Vozenelik's name. Whenever he gets behind it, it'll be hard for any team to be able to dig it and respond.
Errant attempt there from Cal Iwinski. And the lead increases to 5. Well, back to Vozenelik really quick. He does rank top 50 in the nation for kills per set. Number 4, he's been an All-American before, 3 straight first-team All-NAC teams. And watch out at the scores table. That one went off a head. I think it went off another blocker's hands. And that's going to cause an early timeout from Will Kraft. The Cougars, they can't be off to a better start right now. We're going to take a breather up here in the booth. Cougars up 8-2 on the Stars early in set 1. Back here in Geisman, a little less than 20 seconds remaining on the Dominican timeout. And Parker, The Stars just look frazzled out there. Down 8-2 early against the Cougars team who, in history, they've only lost one set to. They're a perfect 6-0 against this team, and they're playing on their back heels right now. They're errant attempts all over the place. I imagine, and maybe you could speak on this, Parker, that timeout had to really just be about calming this team down, because right now they just look absolutely all over the place.
And Dominican came in really hyped up, and you could tell that there was a possibility that they overlooked at this Concordia team. And the way that Concordia is playing right now, this is not a team to overlook.
Well, that's a good start out of the timeout. Tanner Dahman finally connects on one. The Gilbert, Arizona native gets the kill, brings the score within 5.
And that was good for him. He's had a couple attack errors here early in this game, finally getting his first point of the night. It's got to feel good if you're Tanner Dahman.
Ball back to the Cougar side. Mosher blocked up front, whistle blown though. Violation caught on the Cougars.
Dominican going on a little bit of a run here. Their coach, Will Kraft, looking to see if they can make the most coming out of that timeout.
Falling dig by Vales. Hollabeck dug there. Dahman again, and that one is just outside the line. So the streak is over. The Stars come out, score a couple out of the timeout. Now the Cougars get possession right back.
And that was a great job by the Cougars. Dominican got 2 straight points. They were able to not let them go on another long run. Great job by the Cougars defense.
Dahman blocked up front. Cougars frontline defense has been on point so far tonight. Another attempt, this one over the front line. Mosher to Rosen. Vales sends a floater over. Now the Stars on the attack. Blocked! Big block there. Vozenela Campbell. And a ball hits the ground. Mosher almost got a hand under it. So the Stars strike once again. 9-5 the score now.
And you can tell just the way that these two teams are playing right now. Dominican came out, got hit in the mouth early, but they've had a nice response since. And the way the Cougars are playing right now, this should bode to be a very good game.
Dahman to serve. 11 service aces on the year. Make that 12 service aces on the year.
And Vozenilic, just kind of an awkward dig, awkward angle. Didn't expect the ball to be coming at him that fast. Just wasn't quite able to get under it.
And Parker, you got to start wondering if Greg Manos might have a timeout coming up as well, as there's a service error from Dahman. But the Stars are hot right now, and you might want to try and cool them off before things get too close. Though he's going to rely on his team right now as he gives the sign to the server, Vozenilic. Vozenilic serve. Verska plays it. Good kill there off the hand of Cal Iwinski.
Yeah, if Dominican keeps this up, they are definitely hot right now. I could see a timeout by Manos coming in the future.
And even though we talked about all the pieces that this Dominican squad has lost between last season and this year, including a head coach, as David Vales gets the kill. This is still a tough team. This is not a team you can overlook. Picked 3rd in the NAC preseason poll. They were also ranked preseason in all of Division III, so this might be a new look Stars team, but it's still one that commands a lot of respect from their peers.
Yeah, and it's not only a new look Stars team, but it's also a new look Cougars team. The way they played in the tournament this past weekend did not look like the same Cougars team that we've seen in past seasons.
Manos coming from a Division I background, most recently at Miami, Ohio, where he focused on scouting, player development, as well as a focus on passers and defensive strategy. As Andre Muller got all of that one. Dahman's right there, though. So Manos brings a lot of experience, and he's trying to bring those ways to this Cougars squad as Tyler Hollabeck finally able to finish off the play. And you know, Parker, Hollabeck, it's kind of weird to call him the unsung hero of this Cougars team. He's 2nd in the conference right now, kills percent, points percent, but when you have an All-American, a former All-American in Vozenilic in the roster, Hollaback might not always get the respect that, you know, he should get with Vozenelik right there as well, but he's just as good a player in terms of being well-rounded.
Yeah, and I think that's the perfect term to describe Hollaback. He definitely is the unsung hero. We see in the match against Wabash last weekend, he led the team in kills with 28 kills. That was a new career high for him, and usually we're talking about Vozenelik, but Tyler Hollaback really stepped up last weekend.
Hollaback, another serve, popped up. Now the attempt, great dig there by Rosen, just at a bad angle. It goes out of play. 13-9 the score now. I don't think it can be understated how big a first set win here would be for CUC. Just their second all-time set victory over the Stars. And they're going to be playing with that 1-0 set lead in the match as they inch a little closer to it with that point.
Yeah, and a set win right here would be huge. As we mentioned previously in the pregame show, I mean, Dominican 6-0 all-time versus the Cougars. The Cougars have only won one set. This would be a huge momentum swing if they were to get the first set victory.
Verska pops it up. Dahmen now is going to send a freebie over. Cougars going to play with it. Moeller, too much on that one. It goes out of bounds. Stars hit point number 10, still trail the Cougars by 4. Well, let's talk about that last matchup a little bit. Last time these two teams faced off, the Cougars lost that one 3-0 at Dominican. That was back on February 21st of last year. Luke Vozenelik only had 5 kills, a minuscule number by his standards. They lost those sets 25-19, 25-20, and 25-20 again.
It's crazy that Luke Vozenelik only had 5 kills in a match. Usually we're used to him putting up 15 plus, and on a quiet night like that, it was kind of hard for the Cougars to really get any momentum going.
Point Cougars. But Vozenelik, he's almost averaging 5 kills per set right now. He's at a little over 4 at the moment, 4.09 to be exact. So 5 for a match. I mean, that's just a great defensive effort by the Stars as that one goes off Olivse's forearms and right above the heads of the Cougars bench.
And Dominican is not going away easy. Despite the Cougars getting off to a hot start, Dominican has found a way to respond when adversity strikes. It's proven to be a great first set so far.
A little flip over the net there by Moeller. Ball still in play, and Dahmen put that one in no man's land. No Cougar was even close to it.
And how good has Dahmen been? He got off to a sluggish start with the 2 attack errors. Might have been 3, but now he's really starting to catch fire, and so is Dominican as well.
And a ball out of bounds. Cougars celebrated like it was their point for a moment. Instead, the officials say it instead belongs to the Stars. So they pull within 3 now, 16-13. Goss the serve. Goss is the points leader of this Dominican squad with 59. Good dig there. Play continues. Freebie sent over. Hollaback pops it up. Mosher. Vozenelik off the blockers. Hands up front. We're still going. Dahmen. A floater off the blockers' hands and out. Deflection called by the officials. And now there's the timeout by Coach Greg Manos of CUC. His team only up by 2 now, 16-14 over the Stars. You're watching CUC Men's Volleyball here on the Cougar Sports Network. Reminder to all Cougar fans out there that you can find updates on all of CUC athletics at our website, cucougars.com. Information about every sports team on campus, including CUC men's volleyball, can be found there. Information such as rosters, schedules, statistics, social medias, and more. Once again, that's our website, cucougars.com. 16-14 the score here as we get into the conclusion of set one. Parker, this set has mostly been in control of the Cougars, but the Stars have done a good job chipping away at it over the course of the set. This was a big lead. Last time there was a timeout, it was 8-2 CUC. Now the Stars trail by just 2. Check that 3 as there's the service error on Goss, but the Stars, they're coming back. Cougars got to be careful here.
Yeah, and we got to give credit to Dominican for being a resilient team. Yeah, this is not the same Dominican program that we've seen in years past, but whenever they were down and hit in the mouth, they've done nothing but respond.
Service error on part of CUC, so that lead back down to 2. Both teams now within 10 of the magic number 25 to claim the set. And now another service error. That's 3 straight, 2 on the Stars, 1 on the Cougars, and Luke Vozenlik's going to go back now to see if he can end that.
Yeah, definitely not ideal for service errors by both sides. Vozenik definitely flipped the script on that.
Blocked up front. Campbell, Hollaback. This frontline defense has been just absolutely insane for the Cougars. A big reason they have a lead right now.
Yeah, and the Cougars are very excited to have Campbell back. Didn't play in last weekend's tournament, and like we talked about, he set the school record last season with blocks assisted and blocks in general, and he's been nothing but great so far in this first set.
Dominican to serve now. Point Cougars. Now checking in. First time tonight, Deontay Garcia to serve. The freshman has gotten plenty of experience this season, 34 sets played, a lot in the serving role. He's got, under his name, 8 service aces. So he won't get one this time. And Hollaback, a solo block for number 9, Aaron Mars, the 6'3 freshman, getting up there, and him and his squad are fired up after that one.
Yeah, and after every big kill, the Dominican bench is riled up. They came to play here in River Forest tonight.
Of course, just being down the street, plenty of Dominican faithful here as well. Another block there from Mars. Fortunately for CUC, this one goes out of bounds instead.
It was a great job of Hollaback getting revenge on that. He did give up the last point, but this one he took it right back.
Hollaback to serve. Hits the net. 21-18. The Cougars lead. Mars, he was the one who got that big solo block just about a minute ago. He goes back to serve now. Number 9 in navy and gold. And that play at the net and coming up and making it is Jacob Bush. And all of a sudden we're back to a 2-point game here. So that's going to force another Cougars timeout by Greg Manos. Parker, we're going to keep it here. Cougars are closing in on that set 1 victory, but the Stars are hot on their tail. What's going to be the key here for CUC to put this one away, close the door on set 1, and take that big 1-0 lead in the match?
I know I'm beating the dead horse here, but all Greg Manos wants to see is his team finish a set. We saw, and I've talked about this a lot, but we saw in the tournament last weekend, Concordia was able to finish matches. And here, Dominican is starting to go on a little bit of a run. Concordia is only 4 points away from closing out this set. All Coach Manos wants to see is his team finish the set.
Well, and Coach Manos has talked about it with me in our Coaches Weekly series about how really the key for this team is consistency. Battling through sets beginning to end, never once letting your foot off the gas. And like you said, Parker, especially when we get to the end here, Cougars have been on this wrong side of a lot of 5-set losses this season. And that just kind of goes to talk about, the ability to finish and how important that is going to be for Coach Manos' squad in his first year here. Now, they're on the verge of doing so against one of their biggest rivals in the conference. As Vozenelik pops this one up for Mosher, who gives it off to Moeller, 2 freshmen connecting there. And a kill there for Casey Goss. And the Stars are within 1. Goss, a freshman out of Frankfort, Illinois, Lincoln Way East High School. As now Aaron Mars sends us over. Vales and Mosher. Smart play there by the freshman. And Parker, we've talked about it a lot. Eli Mosher, just the ability to come in as a freshman and look like a 4-year veteran. He's putting up insane numbers, 4th in the conference in assists per set, as Dominican has to take a timeout. Mosher, 4th in the conference assists per set with 8.3. I mean, just his ability to come in and have this impact right out of the gate has been huge, and I'm sure Greg Manos is incredibly thankful and fortunate that he's able to find that in his first season here.
And that's absolutely what you want to see. You want to recruit guys who are freshmen that can come in and contribute right away, and Eli Mosher is the definition of that player. Like you said, 4th in the NAC in assists per set. He's been anything but a freshman, and his poise is something that needs to be harped on as well. He is not rattled in this environment that we're in right now. He acts like he has been here before, even though he's just a freshman. It's outstanding.
And he's going to have, ideally, the next 3 years, including the next 3 years and the rest of this season, to continue to grow as a player. And as long as he stays here, Coach Manos stays here, and they continue doing whatever it is they're doing, there's a good chance he's going to leave the school as one of the most prolific setters in program history.
Absolutely has that potential, and that's exactly what Greg Manos is excited about, and I'm sure Eli is excited about that as well.
Well, the teams make their way back out to the court. Cougars up by a pair, 22-20 over the Stars of Dominican. Seeing if they can finish off the cross-street rivals here in set 1. Big block, and it touches inside the out-of-bounds line. No Dominican in the back row was even close. No Dominican player was even close. And all of a sudden, the Cougars, they're now just 2 away from set 1 victory.
That was just a great offensive possession right there from the Cougars as they look to close it out.
Rosen pops it up. Vales puts it back towards some other Cougar players as Vozenelik sends it over. Floater, Blake Rosen right there. Eli Mosher now a set to Hollaback. Gets the kill. Absolutely flustered Tyler Verska on that one. The Cougars, they have set point here.
And something we've talked about is this veteran leadership displayed by the Cougars. Tyler Hollaback with an excellent example right there. His team is within 1, and getting the kill right there was huge.
Blocked up front, Cougars win the first set. The second all-time set victory for CUC, and they carry a 1-0 match lead into the break. We're going to talk about just how big this victory was for the Cougars when we get back after the pause. We'll be back here on the Cougar Sports Network in just a minute. Cougars up 1-0 over the Stars. Don't go anywhere. Here in Geisman Gymnasium, the music's blasting, the fans are excited because the Cougars, they're up 1-0 on the Dominican Stars. Parker, it was a huge set one win, and the Cougars, they're riding high on the momentum right now. What went well in that set one? What do the Cougars need to carry over into the set two to keep this hot streak going?
Well, it's exactly what I talked about in the first set, how this is not the same Cougars team that we've seen in years past. In years past, they've struggled finishing sets when the other team starts to make a run, and it's exactly what Greg Manos wanted to see and exactly what the Cougars hoped for. They were able to close out that set despite the Dominican run. Now they're looking to carry that over into set number 2.
Well, some of your stat leaders from that first set is we're just a half a minute away from play resuming. Luke Vozenelik, Tanner Dahmen lead all players in kills with 4 each. Right behind them is Tyler Hollaback for the Cougars with 9. Meanwhile, the assist leader is on the Dominican side of the court, Owen Morrow. We haven't really mentioned his name yet, but Morrow, 5th in the conference in assists per set. Right above him at 4th is the Cougar freshman Eli Mosher. He's currently sitting at 6 assists on the night. So the bell goes off, the horn goes off here in Geisman, I guess we should say. Now Parker, excuse me. I think that happens about once every game. We get each other confused. But Parker, the blocks have also been a big difference maker so far tonight. 5 on the Concordia side of the net. Meanwhile, just 1 for the Stars. This frontline defense for the Cougars has been absolutely phenomenal, whether it's been Colby Campbell, Luke Vozenelik. I think Tyler Hollaback got one in there as well. The blocking's just been on point, and that's a big reason they have this 1-0 lead to begin with.
Absolutely, and that front line of the Cougars was instrumental in that first set win. Dominican didn't do as much with their front line, and if Concordia's front line didn't play that way in the first set, we might have seen a very different outcome.
Again, this is a very strong Dominican team physically, so the ability for the Cougars to get up there and have the strength to block, though, says a lot about their athleticism. As a good kill there by Eli Mosher, we see setters pull that out all the time, Parker, where they pretend, they make it look like they're going to set, like, you know, their position says they're going to do, and so they just send it over the net with one hand, and it usually catches the defense sleeping.
Yeah, and Mosher's pulled that out a lot tonight. We see that he is averaging about 0.6 kills per set. Already has 2 in this one. He's playing very great.
Blockers get a hand on that Dahmen attempt, and then Livesey keeps it going. The Cougars, they strike again. 2-point lead now in their favor as Livesey goes back to serve.
And we just talk about all the time how hard of an environment how hard it is to play inside of Geisman Gymnasium. Right now this crowd is amped. The Cougars are amped. Both sides are amped. And it's just a phenomenal atmosphere.
Dominican able to play it off the ceiling. That's always a tough task with all the speakers and just all the foundations up there that are going to send the ball in a weird way. Dominican's able to rebound off that Vozenelik attack, though. He's going to get another one. This one hits a speaker. Play hits the net. It's still alive. I don't know how the Stars kept that one up, but they've had some good luck there. Vozenelik finally finishes off the play. Luke Vozenelik had 3 attempts on that one volley, and he finally gets the kill he was looking for.
Just the story of not giving up on the play, and an excellent example right there by Vozenelik finally getting the kill after 3 separate attacks.
Blocked up front, Mosher got the rebound, so keeps it alive for the Cougars. Hollaback gets the kill off the blocker's hands and down. CUC up 4-0 here in set 2. And Parker, it's kind of a repeat of what we saw in set 1. Cougars come out of the gate fired up. They come take a big lead early in the set. See if they can continue it.
Absolutely. This Cougars team has to be able to finish.
Now, of course, just as I say that, Jacob Bush with a hard attempt there gets Dominican on the board for the first time tonight. In the set, I should say. Now back to serve is Casey Goss. Vale sets up Mosher. Colby Campbell, a little floater. Dominican all over it. Verska now to Dahmen. His attempt goes out. No interference from the Cougars. Cougars back in control, 5-1 now.
And you couldn't ask for a better start again for the Cougars. They got a great start in set number 1, great start here in set number 2. Now the story is just to finish.
Set by Morrow, excuse me. Cougars keep it alive, but they were not going to be able to avoid the 4-touch rule.
And that was an excellent effort. Despite letting Dominican get the point, it was still an excellent effort by the Cougars to try to recover and get that ball over the net.
Back to serve now. It is Damen. A strong serve, a strong dig by Rosen. And into the net is Hollebeck's attempt. So 5-3 now the score. It was a 4-0 lead. Since then, a 3-1 run for the Stars. We've seen the Stars do this a couple times already tonight, Parker, where they're able to close the gap as there's a service error from Damen. They're able to close the gap through these runs that they'll go on, whether it's, blank to 0 runs or just, dominant play for a certain amount of time. This is a team who they're not going to go away easily.
No, they're a nitty-gritty team, and despite the lead that the other team may have, Dominican doesn't give up. And even though they're not the same team, same Dominican team that we've seen, they're definitely a hard team to compete against.
The Stars thought they got the dig there. That was Verska or Casey Goss. Refs blow the whistle, though, say touch the ground. So point goes to CUC. Strong serve there from Vozenelik. The Stars, they gain control, though, able to put that one inside the lines, come away with the point, 7-4 now.
It was a really nice place to be by Aaron Mars, putting the ball in the right place where no Cougars could get it. Really excellent play right there.
Serve out of bounds, so the Aaron serve puts the Cougars back up by 4.
And Dominican is kind of killing their own momentum. They get a nice kill like that one we just saw from Mars, and then a service error, and it kind of kills the momentum of Dominican.
Deontay Garcia to serve now. Verska plays it. Morrow. And finishing off the kill was Iwinski. Iwinski, I mentioned he's top 6 in the conference. Excuse me, he's top 4 in the conference in blocks per set. Tonight he's putting on the offense, though, with 3 kills. On the year, he's averaging 1.16 a set as he goes for another one there, and he'll get another one. Back within 2 are the Stars, and like we were just talking about, they're not going away easily.
And this is the same format that we saw in the last set. Concordia got off to a hot start. Dominican starts to crawl back, and Dominican's looking to kind of flip the script and get the win here in set number 2.
Luke Vozenelik, watch out. He gets a hold of that one.
And if you're a player on the opposing team, you do not want to be on the side whenever you see Vozenelik get a full swing. Really get behind that volleyball.
I think we need to get the radar gun on that one out as that dig goes back to the Cougars' side, so they're going to have a chance here. And Hollebeck, he gets a hold of that one. Lead back up to 4 for CUC.
And just the combination of Vozenelik and Hollebeck, it's really, they're the glue that holds this team together. And as we already talked about, Vozenelik first in the NAC in kills per set. Tyler Hollebeck's right there at number 2. They're definitely a dynamic duo for sure.
The Stars able to keep it alive. Some of the fans wanting to call a lift or some kind of violation. Instead, play continues. Goss sends it over. Vozenelik, Muller, diving dig from Verska. Play continues. Goss sends it over. Nice dig there from Rosen. Here's Hollebeck. Gets the kill. I think the saying is ball don't lie. After what a lot of people in the stands thought was a missed whistle, Hollebeck finishes the kill off. And that's going to force another Dominican timeout. They're down by 5 against the Cougars, 11-6. We'll take a break here on the Cougar Sports Network and be back in just a minute. Timeout coming to a close here in Geisman. Your Cougars up on the Stars, 11-6. Peter Borkowski, Parker Kelly here on the Cougar Sports Network. Parker, we're seeing a lot of what we saw in set 2. Cougars, they'll go up by 4, 5 even, and then the Stars able to crawl back and make it a 2, even 1 point deficit before the Cougars pull away again. And well, obviously, it's going to give you a scare when Dominican goes on a big run. If you're Greg Manos, you can't be too unhappy with that kind of trend.
No, and just considering the history, like we've preached all night, the Cougars are just looking for any set victory that they can get against a Division Street rival. But, again, that just goes to show Dominican that they're a very nitty-gritty team that'll stay in it till the end.
Blake Rosen watches that one go out of bounds for the Tyler Hollebeck service ace. He increases the lead to 6. And Parker, another key tonight's going to be when the Cougars do go on a run, like, you know, they're on now, they have been a couple of times, you got to keep building as much as possible because, as we see right there, Dominican's eventually going to get into rhythm, get a couple points back. So you just got to build yourself, as big a cushion as you can.
Yeah, and just don't take your foot off the gas, and that's something the Cougars have struggled with. They're starting to get better at it, but this is an excellent opportunity to continue that growth against this rival.
Mosher, a backwards set to Hollebeck. Dominican all over it defensively and offensively as well as they strike there. 12-8 now.
Just an excellent play right there from Casey Goss, really getting behind that volleyball. Not much the Cougars could do to stop that on the defensive end.
Serve there by Mars, played by the Cougars. Blocked up front. Cougars aren't going to be able to recover. So the Stars, as we've seen once again, have pulled back within 3 now.
And they don't go away easy, that's for sure.
It's all about getting back in control for CUC. Just getting that 1 point to get your momentum back. Is that one had a little too much sauce on it from the freshman Moeller. That lead down to 2 now.
Again, Peter, this exact same format we saw. Dominican start to go on a run a little bit. See what the Cougars can do right here to stop it.
Mosher sets up Moeller. Verska can't get under it in time. Cougars back in control now. See if they can respond with a run of their own. Andre Moeller, we've mentioned his name a couple times tonight, and he's quietly having a very good freshman campaign. 31 sets played, averaging just over a kill per set. He's got 23 total blocks as there's a kill there from Mosher. But you have Moore and Mosher, who have been 2 mainstays in the starting lineup as freshmen for the Cougars. We've talked about it before, how this Cougars team is such a good combination of veteran players like Vozenelik, like Blake Rosen, like Tyler Hollebeck. But there's also a plenty of youth on this team, like Mosher, like Moeller. Vlad Erickson has played very well for this team. Deontay Garcia, we've mentioned a couple times tonight. So this is just a very well-rounded team in terms of young players bringing youth and something new to the squad, and then your veterans who are going to help those young players kind of learn what it means to be a Cougars volleyball player.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, you have the combination of veteran leadership, and then you have the combination of these freshmen that are coming in, and they're not playing like freshmen. They're playing really well with Mosher and Moeller. I'd like to go back to about 2 possessions ago when Moeller got the kill his team really needed that, and he stepped up and provided, and that's exactly what you want to see out of your young players.
Big block up front for the Stars. Gets them control right back. Vales to Mosher. Here goes Hollaback. Too much on that one as the Stars have pulled within one now. Greg Manos walking up to the sideline. He's going to have a word with Tyler Hollaback. His team now just down by one. And Parker, if my memory serves me correct, we haven't seen a tie here yet tonight other than when it was 0-0, except very early in set one when we had a 1-1, 2-2 score, that kind of thing. But once we really get into these sets, it's been all Cougars so far tonight. And now Dominican in the verge of finally getting that tie they've been hunting.
Yeah, it's been Cougar. They've been in control the entire time, but Dominican hasn't gone away, and they're looking to get their first tie in a while. Be interesting to see what happens.
And there it is. Cal Iwinski gets some help from the top of the net, and we're all tied up. 14 points apiece, and now, Parker, it's time to talk about that. This is a spot the Cougars have not found themselves in yet tonight, except, again, very early in set one when you're going to expect a tie or two. So it's going to be interesting to see how this team responds. If that's any sign, it's going to be a very good response there.
See, and it's the young freshman again, Moeller, stepping up and getting his team a kill when it's needed most. The Cougars hadn't seen a tie in a while, and you were just talking about how are they going to respond. And once again, the young freshman stepping up right when you need him.
Livesay serve. That one rides the net, doesn't touch a Cougar before it goes out of bounds. So CUC point back up by 2 now. Christopher Livesay, good serve again. Morrow. And an absolute missile off the arm of Tanner Dahmen.
And Dahmen's kind of been a hit or miss all night. He's had some really excellent kills. And he's had a couple errors that you kind of were scratching your head at. But overall, he's been playing pretty well tonight for this Dominican team. They've definitely come to compete.
Well, after that one, Dahmen takes the lead in kills for Dominican with 6. That block goes out of bounds. So CUC back up by 2, 17-15.
And the Cougars' response right here has been great. Saw their first tie in a while when it was at 15-15. And now they have a 2-point advantage, looking to close this one out in set number 2.
Mosher to serve. His team 8 points away from taking a big 2-0 set lead over the Stars. This one takes a weird bounce off the ceiling. Cougars play it well, though, send it back to the Stars, force them to make a play. Blocked up front, and then Colby Campbell got a hand on it. Blocked again! That ball's still alive, and now it goes into the crowd. Cougars frontline defense. I've said it before, I'll say it again, on fire tonight. They build that lead up to 3.
It's just been lethal, and when those players really get up, they're just so athletic and big. They use their strong frame, and when that happens, there's not much Dominican can do in response.
Campbell and Vozenelik have 3 blocks each. Andre Moeller with 2, and then Hollabeck and Mosher have 1 each. That takes a weird right on the net, but getting an arm on it was Vozenelik. Now he sends it over. Hits the net. Dominican able to play it over. They're going to send a floater for the Cougars to play. Hollabeck, great dig. It's still alive, but now it hits the ground. The Cougars, ever since that 14-14 tie, have gone on a 5-1 run now, and almost on cue. That's going to cost Will Kraft to take a time out, get his team figured out here. Cougars, they're up 19-15 over the Stars, coming to a close here in set 2. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the Cougar Sports Network. Cougar fans, be sure to check out our YouTube page, CUC Sports, for new digital content, interviews, and all broadcasts on the Cougar Sports Network. And now you can become a channel member for only $5 a month and receive exclusive access to content, as well as the ability to participate in live chats during a broadcast. All you have to do is go to our YouTube channel, CUC Sports, click the join button to become a member, but if you don't want to become a member at the time, you can still donate to the CUC Athletic Communications Department to continue to improve the broadcast like the one you're watching right now. All you have to do is click the thank button on any video, and no matter what you do, even if you're just watching, we sincerely thank you for all of your support. Play resumes here in Geisman. Set 2, Cougars up 19-15 on the Stars. Dahmen hit some blockers' hands before falling down, so Dominican comes out of their own timeout, gets a point back.
That's one of the few blocking errors that we've seen on that Concordia front line really all night.
19-16. 16 serving 19 with Dahmen. Right into the net. Point 20 for the Cougars.
And it's been a pretty tough night for Dahmen. We see that he has 7 kills on the night, which leads the Stars team. He also has 8 errors, so he's been pretty hit or miss tonight.
Well, despite that 7 kills, he's sitting at a 0 hitting percentage. So basically, to put that in layman's terms, he's made as many mistakes as he has good plays. As now Goss goes for the kill. Great dig! Luke Vozenelik, and the ball is down! Cougars earn the point. Luke Vozenelik, he attacked, but he also protect. And the Cougars up by 5 now.
And I cannot believe what I'm seeing right now. Concordia knew the history between these two teams coming in. They have come to play, and they've been in control the whole night.
Well, a service error there goes out of play, and the Stars will get control back now. And Coach Manos going to call a timeout, get his team in sorts here, because Parker, they're coming up on a set 2 victory, put Dominican in that dreaded 0-2 set hole in the match. What do they need to do to finish it off? We've seen a lot of very high-level volleyball being played here tonight. Now, what do the Cougars have to do to earn those last 4 points?
Well, if we know anything about this Dominican team is they like to go on runs. I wouldn't be surprised to see a Dominican run right here. But what the Cougars need to do to close out this set is prevent that run, and it all starts up front with that dominant line that we've been seeing all night. If they step up, it'll be pretty hard for Dominican to come back.
30 seconds left on the timeout. Watching the Cougar Sports Network, Peter Borkowski on the call, joined by Parker Kelly. Packed crowd here in Geisman, as it always is for these CUC Dominican games. So you get a lot of Dominican fans here as well, especially right to the right of the flag from the net, from your point of view, up in the first couple rows, getting their voice heard, supporting their Stars team, who's had a lot of success in the last couple years. This year, though, new head coach. A lot of their big players from last season have moved on in one way or another, and now they're back. They have their backs against the wall here in set 2. Vales, Mosher, the Hollaback, diving dig there, and blocked up front. Stars able to recover nicely. The attempt there, blocked up front again. Cougars able to control it. Big block there. David Vales got an arm on it before it goes out. The Stars pull within 3.
And I talked about this, maybe that this is the start of a Dominican run. They like to close these gaps, especially when Concordia has a lot of momentum. They don't go away easy.
Vales and a solo block. It's the setter, Owen Morrow, the 6'3 freshman, getting up there for it.
And it seems like he hung in the air right there for a long period of time. He really got up there.
2-point lead now for CUC after the Stars have gone on this little run. Vales, Mosher. Hollebeck, another block, and it's a 1-point game. Parker, this was a very similar situation to what we saw at the end of set 1. As Cougars had multiple multi-point leads, and all of a sudden, here very late in the set, it's just a 1-point set.
And it's exactly what I said. It all starts with that front line.
And a costly error there for the Cougars. We're tied up again. That'll force another timeout from Coach Manos. So, wow, the first-year coach of CUC draws something up and gets his team in order. We're going to take a breather up here. Set 2, it's coming down to the wire, 21-21 Stars and Cougars. We'll be right back on the Cougar Sports Network. Back here on the Cougar Sports Network, and Parker, looking at this scorebook, things are about as neck and neck as they can be. Kills 23-21 in favor of CUC. Total attacks 63-60 in favor of Dominican. Hitting percentage is separated by just 0.07% roughly. Blocks, that's really where we've seen a turn in the tide of things. As last time we talked about blocks, it was 6-1 in favor of CUC. Now blocks are tied up 6-6. This Stars front line has done a very good job responding to the Cougars offense, and they're back, playing that good defense. This Dominican team has become known for the Cougars strike first out of the timeout.
Yeah, and that front line was really struggling in the first 2 sets, the early set of set number 2, and now they've really stepped up, and that's why we only have a 1-point game right now.
Deontay Garcia, the serve. It's a good one. Verska, Murrow. Block up front there. Another block attempt, and that one doesn't prove as successful as Dominican ties up the match once again, 22-22. Ties up the set, I should say.
And if you're a fan, this is a really exciting environment to be in right now. Both teams really exchanging blows here in the later portion of the second set.
Owen Morrow set right to Vozenelik. Now here's Hollebeck. This one, it's going to be a tough play, and the Stars are not going to be able to make it. Verska pulls off some fancy footwork to get the ball in his hand and doesn't count for anything as his team's back down by 1 now. Cougars 2 away from set victory. Hollebeck serve, and that one goes out of bounds off the attack from Iwinski, and here it is. Set point for the Cougars, 24-22.
This is what Greg Manos wants to see. He wants to see his team continue to close out these sets.
A costly service error for CUC. And the Stars are back within 1. They need to score here or else Cougars take away the set. The Stars score, though. We get into some extra volleyball. Reminder, you have to win by 2 in the game of volleyball. That tips the top of the net, so we're still alive. Mosher, David Vales, it touches the Stars player before going out. Cougars claim set 2, 25-23. As close as it gets, and they take a 2-0 lead in the match. I think everyone in Geisman, at least everyone wearing maroon, let out a collective sigh of relief as the Cougars take set 2, a very, very tightly contested set. They're going to take a 2-0 set lead into the third set, seeing if they could sweep the Stars for their first win in program history against this Dominican squad. Don't go anywhere on the Cougar Sports Network. We'll be back in just a minute to see if they can do it. Back here in Geisman, Cougars up 2-0 on the Stars in the match. Parker, you want to talk about a reversal of history. This was a Cougar squad who in the past 6 meetings not only never beat Dominican, but had only won a single set. And that single set win came back on the 5th of March in 2021 here at CUC. Now they're up 2-0, and talk about how crazy it would be if your first set over your your first win over your cross street rivals is a 3-0 sweep of them.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think everybody who is a Concordia fan in Geisman right now is shocked because they know that the Cougars have never beat the Stars, and now they have a commanding 2-0 lead. It's been a complete flip of the script, and that just goes to show you that the change that Coach Manos is wanting to implement within this Cougar program.
Well, before we get back to some volleyball action, do want to take a second to thank everyone making this Cougar Sports Network production possible. Up here with me and Parker, we have Ryan McGee and Janie Turnus producing, Sydney Lloyd, Amaya Martin working the camera. Down on the far side of the court, Kate Bennis and Katie Schrems helping work the clock and the scores book. You have Jada Carr helping spot for stats, and then Parker, I did it again. Carter Gledhill working on the recap. We also have Saba Miller floating around taking some photos, doing a fabulous job as he always does. You can actually see him walking at the bottom of your screen right now as he's actually coming towards the camera. And then we are under the direction of Cindy Palaska-Slaher, Claire Hickey, and our Director of Sports Information, Kayla McLeod, Peter Borkowski, Parker Cowley. It's shaping up to be a good third set. Dominican looking to avoid the sweep. The Cougars and Parker, even just how big this win would be in terms of history. Cougars' first win against Dominican in program history in 6 tries. This is game number 7 between the two. But even just this season going forward, this will put the Cougars at 2-1 in conference play. Small sample size, but gain a win over a team who's usually top 5 in the country. That's got to be a sign of good things to come as you get further and further in NAC play.
Yeah, and Coach Mandos hasn't even been here that long, and we're already seeing a completely new Cougars team. And this would be a huge victory if the Cougars were able to come out on top in regards to overall team confidence and standings in the NAC.
Well, the Cougars struck first in the set. The Stars tied up almost immediately on the next volley. 1-1 the score now. That was a service ace from David Vales to start off set 3. Now the Cougars back in control. A floater from Vozenelik is mishandled there by a diving Aaron Mars. So Cougars take a 2-1 lead. And Parker, we saw almost identical sets 1 and 2. Cougars jump out to a big lead. Stars go on a pretty significant run to cut that lead down, and then we see just a trading of runs between the Cougars and the Stars. But it's so important for the Cougars to get out that big lead to begin with because it gives you some leeway for when the Stars are going to go on that big run. You're going to be up by so many points that you can afford to lose a couple volleys in a row.
Yeah, and obviously you want that big cushion and you don't want to make those mistakes. But, it does help when you do have that big cushion over a competitive team like this. And like I said, you don't want to make those mistakes, but it definitely helps having that.
Well, we have a good volley here as the ball is still in play. Morrow. And it's blocked up front by the Cougars. They win what felt like an endless volley. Me and Parker got through a whole point talking-wise before it ended.
That's very rare that happens.
And now we have a substitution. Jason Coogan coming into the game, his first appearance of the night. Sophomore out of Frankfort, Illinois. Lincoln Way East product. A couple of those on this roster. Danny Pacini, a senior. We haven't seen him tonight. He's from there. Owen Morrow, Lincoln Way East alum. Casey Goss is from there as well. So Lincoln Way East well represented on this Dominican squad, who now trails the Cougars by just 1 after that point. Hits the top of the net. That lead back up to 2.
And it's going to be very important to see how the Cougars play with the lead. They've played exceptional with the lead in the first 2 sets, but it's going to be more important to try to close this out. It's not about how you start, but how you finish.
Service error there. Leads to the Dominican point. They pull within 1 once again. 4-3, 3 serving 4. It is Coogan to do so. And the Cougars strike back there. Multi-point lead is back.
Nice accuracy right there by Vozinovic. We're used to seeing those rockets from him, but whenever he kind of puts a floater over the net, other team is not expecting it, but great accuracy right there.
Big block goes out of play. Not much the Cougars could do on that one.
And Dominican has played well all night despite the Cougars' lead. I don't think the Stars have trailed once in this match so far.
No, the Cougars have not trailed once in this match as that ball goes down. Cougar point. Well, again, I know we talked about it last set, but the last time that, before the Stars tied it midway through set 2, the last time there was a tie and even a Stars lead was way back at the very beginning of set 1 when it was, 1-0, 2-2, that kind of score. Since then, besides that tie in the last set, which we saw 2 of, actually, it's been all Cougars. It's been all CUC, and they're going to look to finish it out here in set 3 as Moeller sends an attack over. The Stars able to play it. Fight at the net for it. Goes the way of Dominican. Tyler Hollaback giving the ladder official confused look. I think Cougars thought that one should have gone their way. Instead, it goes the way of the team in Navy. So 5 serving 6. It's Tanner Dahmen. Dahmen serve. It's a strong one for Zenalik, able to play it though. That dig comes right back to the Cougars. Mosher is going to set up Hollaback, who slams it over. It touched a Dominican player, and the Cougars back up by a pair, 7-5.
It almost looked like Hollaback was dunking a basketball right there, and he really showed off his bunnies, his athleticism on the front line.
Hollaback only listed at 6'2" on the roster, so not a substantially tall player, especially in the world of men's volleyball, but as you mentioned, Parker, he's just an incredible athlete. He's able to get up there for these types of plays. And Eli Mosher finishing the play on that one. Another tip off a Star before going out. Timeout called by Dominican. They're going to take a second to figure things out, and we're going to take a second to catch our breath up here. You're watching the Cougar Sports Network, where CUC up on Dominican 8-5 here in set 3. 10 seconds left in the Dominican timeout. Stars trailing the Cougars by 3, 8-5. Cougars looking to close out a 3-set sweep of the Stars for their first victory in shared history with Dominican. And Parker, even though the Cougars have been in control for most of this game, they're up 2-0 in the match. We've only seen a couple ties and just one Dominican lead way back at the beginning of tonight's event. As that serve goes out of bounds for an error. Again, this still is not a Dominican team that you can overlook. This is going to be an absolute slugfest to the end of set 3, no matter which way it goes.
Yeah, and Dominican will not give you an easy victory. They will make sure that you have earned the victory, and so far the Cougars have done just that tonight, and they're doing the same thing right now in set number 3.
Blocked up front, hits the net. Dominican able to rebound. Mosher, a little put back, and it works out in his favor.
And again, the freshman phenom, Eli Mosher, really getting up there, getting the kill. And that's a role that we typically don't see him in, but he's a very versatile player, and he's able to step up when needed.
And one of my favorite things about Mosher's emergence, other than just what he brings as a player himself, is his effect it's had on Tyler Hollebeck. Now, Hollebeck was largely in that setter role last season for the Cougars. Mosher comes in, is able to shore up that position. Hollebeck can focus almost entirely on being an opposite side hitter, and he's second in the conference in kills per set, second in points per set. So Mosher being able to come in, lock down that setter position, allows Hollebeck to finish almost entirely on getting kills and getting points.
Yeah, and that's a great point that you bring up. Last year when this team didn't have Mosher, we saw Hollebeck, he kind of had to do a little bit of everything. He even finished all NAC honorable mention. This year he's on pace to finish first team, and that's definitely a result of Mosher coming in and being the player that he is.
Oh, you want a little bit more context and just how dominant this Dominican squad has been. Not only did they win the NAC tournament last year, defeating the number 2 ranked Benedictine squad 3-1, they even won their first round in the NCAA tournament, taking down local school North Central College 3-2, and then they fell to another semi-local product in Carthage College. That was a 3-0 loss for the Stars. But just in general, this region, Parker, is filled with some really good volleyball schools, which you might not exactly expect about, upper Midwest area, but there's plenty of good teams around here. Dominican has always been towards the top of that heap. So, again, this all kind of rolls into our point about getting a win here for CUC, a program who, has not necessarily struggled throughout their history, but hasn't really had that breakout year yet. Let's put it that way. A win against a Dominican team here, that could be the start of something really great this season.
And Dominican has been running the conference since they got a volleyball program, and Concordia is really looking to flip the script, and this is just such a tough conference in regards to volleyball, and Concordia is definitely wanting to change that, and they're wanting to come out on top.
This is a Cougar squad, their first season back in 2019. And then they have not been able to play in a NAC conference game. The 1 year they would have most likely made it was year 2020, and I don't think I need to repeat what happened to the spring sports in 2020. So this is a team looking for their first ever playoff berth, and again, a win against a Stars team who has dominated them historically. That's going to be a big morale boost, and it's going to put the rest of the conference on notice too. That's the point we haven't talked about yet, is that you come in, you beat the Stars, in conference play, something not a lot of teams can say they have done. I mean, that's going to get the other teams in the NAC to kind of look at you and say, okay, this Cougars team they're serious.
And not just beat them, the Cougars are looking to sweep them. And that's something that not a lot of people have done, so it would be very impressive. Definitely put the conference on notice.
Well, the Stars got swept out of the NCAA tournament last season, and that was against a Carthage team ranked number 2 in the country. But already this year, and kind of hard to believe it, they've been swept 3 times already. Their first 3 matches, this Stars team lost a collective 9-0 set-wise. That was against New Platte, and then North Central College, who's always very good, mentioned that just a minute ago, and then Fontbonne University, who's also got a very strong program. So they are playing good programs, but you can just kind of tell by the record even, that 2-4 record. This, again, is not a Stars team we've seen in years past. Cougars looking to pounce on that. Take it to Dominican tonight.
Yeah, and it just alludes to the fact that this Stars team is really suffering from losing those 4 all-NAC players, losing their head coach. They're kind of in a not necessarily too much of a rebuilding stage, but also they're trying to figure out some different pieces and how they fit within their system. So it's definitely a Stars team that is not where they once were, but they're trying to get back there.
That ball goes out of bounds off a Stars player. Cougars 10 points away. Looking ahead just a little bit, there ain't no rest for the weary as the Cougars, they'll be back at it tomorrow night right here in Geisman, once again taking on Trinity Christian College. That's a 7 p.m. first serve time. A weekday back-to-back, which you don't see a lot. You'll see a lot of Friday, Saturday games, but not often when you see 2, Tuesday, Wednesday games, that kind of thing. Cougars, they'll host yet another triangular this Saturday, welcoming California Lutheran University to Geisman, as well as Wabash College, who was here this past Saturday. They'll be back to engage in another CUC-hosted try. But business is yet to be taken care of here in Geisman tonight. 2-0 set lead in the match, 16-12 lead here in set 2. Dominican, that one sneaks inside the line for the kill. And Parker, I think the key is we've seen a lot of smaller Dominican runs that get them back into the set, even tying it a couple times, but we haven't seen them go on that one really big run that puts them in front of the Cougars, and they're going to need to pull one of those out of their bag of tricks now, as they're just 9 points away from losing this match.
And that just really speaks to how well Concordia has been playing all night. Yeah, Dominican will go on a 2-3 point run every now and again, but the Cougars have found a way to stop the bleeding early and not allowing the Stars team to go on a huge momentum-killing run.
The resilience is something that's been on display all night for the Cougars. That one just outside, and now it's a 1 point lead. Resilience has also been a trait of the Stars on full view tonight as well. Now, don't necessarily want to jinx anything here, but when the Stars came to Geisman to play the women's volleyball team earlier back in the fall semester, CUC won that game 3-0. That was the women's volleyball team's first win over Dominican since 2008. And now the men, they're looking to use a 3-0 sweep of their own for their first win over Dominican in program history, as we have a tight one here in the third set, 17-16. Again, Parker, it's like we saw in sets 1 and 2, where once we get closer and closer to the end of the set, Dominican all of a sudden closes that gap to 1, even maybe ties it.
Yeah, and we've been talking about it all night. They're just a nitty-gritty team, but I just want to go back to that point you made about the women's team sweeping Dominican, it would be a huge win for CUC athletics in general if both men's and women's volleyball teams were able to sweep the Stars. It'd be the first time in school history as well.
Whistle blown, violation caught on CUC. And we do have a tied game here in set 3. Service over Rosen. That took a weird bounce off his hands. Vozenovic says hello. It gets the Cougars back in front 18-17.
He says, I'm still here. And right when you need him most, the senior is going to step up and provide.
Kill number 13 on the match for Vozenovic, leads all players on either side of the net. Right behind him is his teammate and fellow senior, Tyler Hollebeck. He's got 11. Block up front, leads to the point. Mosher Campbell in the vicinity. That's back to a 2-point lead for CUC.
And really, Vozenovic and Hollebeck have been great all night, but we also got to talk about that front line. It's been lethal all night. They have not allowed the Stars to do much of anything.
Timeout called by the Stars. They got to get their team in shape quick here as the Cougars 6 points away from claiming set victory and match victory. Meanwhile, the Stars, they need 8 points to get back within this one. Force set 4. We look at some of the stats for tonight. Like I said, Parker, about as neck and neck as you can get. 92 attacks to 91 in favor of CUC. 38 kills to 30 in favor of CUC. That's maybe where a little bit of the difference comes from. Blocks back in favor of CUC. It was 6-1 in favor of the Cougars at one point. Then it was 6-6. Now it's 9-6 in favor of CUC once again. But really the big number that stands out is hitting percentage. 258 in favor of CUC compared to 121 for Dominican. And that's a staple of the Dominican team. It has been a staple of their team that has gone on these dominant runs through the MAC, is that they don't make that many mistakes. All these great programs don't make nearly as many mistakes as, you know, that next tier of programs even. And tonight we just haven't seen that been the case for the Stars. 19 attack errors, 9 service errors. They're just not playing as clean as you might come to expect from a team who made it to the second round of the NCAA tournament last season.
And you talked about their hitting percentage, how it was .121 for this, or for the entire match, and that's really low for the Stars standards. And what is even more like jaw-dropping is their leader in kills, Tanner Dahman. He has 8 kills, has a negative hitting percentage.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was looking at the stat book too. Cougars, they get .20. They're 5 away. Vozenovic tries to make it 4. Morrow's right there. Mosher's going to pop it up. Campbell does 2. Vozenovic right there. He does make it 4. It took him a little bit longer.
And Concordia has played really, really excellent volleyball when they've had the lead tonight, and that has continued. It's been constant throughout the entirety of the match.
And another CUC point, 22. They are just 3 away.
Concordia is so close to that finish line. Just got to be able to close this one out. 3 more points for the Cougars.
The last time Dominican lost a conference game, February 25th of 2021, when they were playing the 12th team in the conference, Benedictine. That was a 3-2 loss. And now the Cougars are looking to give them their first conference loss since that day in dominating fashion, as Dominican going to increase their chances of coming back a little bit with that kill.
Yeah, Dominican, they know all the momentum that the Cougars have right now, but they still play well in spite of that, and they're not going away easy.
This is quite possibly CUC's biggest rivalry in the conference. It's just that Dominican has such a limited selection of sports that, you know, it's not a rivalry present on every team here on campus, but just that cross-street rivalry between CUC and Dominican in general. I mean, these are two teams that love to beat each other as we have a great volley here. Vozenelik gets it's still going. It looked like it was going to be a CUC point, and now this one will be a CUC point. Oh my goodness. Chaos here in Geisman. A diving one-handed dig from Ryan Barnett somehow found its way onto the Cougar side of things.
Oh my gosh. What an incredible volley right there between both sides. And CUC coming out on top. It's just a resilient effort.
You could see some of the Dominican players on the bench have their hands on their head. They're standing hunched over. They know what they're on the cusp, what we're on the cusp of seeing here today. And I think we have to keep it up here in the booth, but it's 23-19. And Parker, you kind of figured back in set one, the Cougars come out hot, they take the big lead. You think at some point this Dominican team, who, yes, has had a lot of turnover, but has been so dominant as of recent history, you think at some point they're going to figure it out. They're going to start becoming that Dominican team that we're used to seeing, who has never lost to the Cougars, who's only lost one set in history to the Cougars. That turn has never come. CUC's basically controlled this game wire to wire now. And unless we see some major change from Dominican in this timeout, CUC's going to walk away with their first win in program history against a team regularly ranked top of the nation.
Yeah, and we've never seen a match like this where the Cougars have been in the driver's seat the entirety of the game. And you got to think, with the way that Dominican has gone on these runs, in spite of Cougar momentum, they just haven't found their way to a lead tonight. And the Cougars have just been so impressive on both sides of the ball.
Well, the players make their way back out to the court. It's all coming down to this. 23-19 in favor of CUC. Serving is Coogan. Cougar faithful making some noise. Some alumni of the volleyball team, years past are present as they're about to see something done no alumni can say they ever did. This team is 1 point away. Cougar fans on their feet. Assistant Athletic Director Janet Walbert making sure that's the case. Luke Vozenelik, the serve in the net. So we will play another set here, another volley here, I meant to say.
That was just huge, a momentum killer, although it's still set point. Luke Vozenelik was looking to close that one out.
Rosen to Mosher. Hollebeck blocked up front. Whistle blown. Official makes the call, and it is a point for Dominican. Can you imagine if that's how this one ended, with a violation on Dominican's part? Instead, it goes towards the Cougars, so Dominican alive a little longer.
Geisman Gymnasium would have erupted.
21 serving 24. The serve. Vozenelik to Mosher. Hollebeck the serve. And it's out. Point! Cougars, they win. And for the first time in school history, the men's volleyball team takes down the Dominican Stars in 3 sets. Oh my goodness. Talk about a statement win for Greg Manos, his first year as head coach, and his entire team. Take down a Stars team. They were 0-6 against all time. A Stars team who is regularly ranked top 10, top 5 in the nation, who has not lost a conference game in 2 years. And the Cougars take care of business in 3, count them, 3 sets. Parker, I don't think anyone predicted this one coming before tonight's matchup.
Yeah, and honestly, there was nobody that saw this coming. And the way the Cougars played, they played a complete match, and that's something that we haven't seen in a long time. From start to finish, the Cougars were in the driver's seat. They never gave up a lead, and I bet Dominican is just as shocked as the rest of Cougar Nation is right now.
Well, the Cougar faithful, they went ecstatic. They lost their minds, and the team, they did something similar. One final huddle with Coach Manos before they're allowed to go greet the fans, and they're going to have a lot to talk about with these fans because they just took down the big dreaded Dominican Stars in 3 sets. Well, let's catch our breath a little bit. Look at some of the stats for the night, the story of how this happened. In terms of individual performances, Luke Vozenelik, 15 kills, led all players. In second was his teammate Tyler Hollaback with 12. And then Tanner Dahmen on Dominican was third in the match with 8 assists. Eli Mosher had a quiet night by his standards with 28. Meanwhile, his upsetting opponent on the other end of the net, Owen Morrow, had 24. Diggs-wise, Tyler Hollaback led all players with 12. Meanwhile, 2 stars had 8, and Casey Goss as well as Tyler Verska. Hitting percentage, .257 for the Cougars. Meanwhile, 101 for the Stars. That might be the story of the game right there. But, Parker, I don't know what else there is to really be said here. I mean, just, I guess, try to put into words what's going through your mind right now. CUC just took down Dominican for the first time in school history.
This is not just a statement win. This is a program turning win. And the Cougars have struggled in years past. Greg Manos in his first season is looking to flip the script, and this may very well be the win that shifts the momentum of this Cougar program entirely. And right now, with the way the Cougars are playing, they will be a team to be on the lookout for in the NAC Conference.
Well, as I mentioned, the Cougars, they'll be back in action tomorrow night as they welcome to Geisman Gymnasium, the Trinity Christian College in Illinois. That's a 7 p.m. first serve time. Coverage can be found, of course, on our website, CUCougars.com. Live stream can be found right back here on the Cougar Sports Network on our YouTube page, CUC Sports. Parker, excuse me, I did it once again. Carter Gledhill and I will be on the call for that one. But for tonight, I want to say one more thanks to everyone making this production possible. Across the way at the scorers table, we had Kate Bennis working the scoreboard, Katie Schrems helping out with the scorebook, Jada Carr helping spot stats, Carter Gledhill working on the recap, Saba Miller has been floated around taking fantastic photographs, and then up here with me and my partner Parker Kelly, Ryan McGee producing, Janie Turnez producing as well, and then Amaya Martin and Sydney Lloyd working the camera. Parker Kelly, you've been my partner for tonight, doing a fantastic job as always. Always a fun time to be on the call with you. Meanwhile, Cougars, for the first time in school history, can say they beat the Dominican Stars on the men's volleyball court, dominating fashion, 3-0. What a night it is to be a Cougars fan. But until they're back on the court tomorrow night at 7, this is Peter Borkowski signing off of the Cougar Sports Network and wanting to say, as always, go Cougars.